Now here's your host, Bill Teegins.
Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Eddie Sutton Show. At the time of the taping, the Cowboys are 7-2 on the year, 6 straight wins. And Coach, you want to get victories are the most important thing, but I know you're not pleased with everything the way the Cowboys are playing right now.
Well, in our last outing against the University of Texas at Pan American, we didn't play very well. We're still very inconsistent. We're still very careless, and it shows up in so many different areas of the game. But as long as we continue to put forth the effort, we're going to get better and we're going to get things smoothed out. Anytime you have a junior college point guard transfer in, you have a couple of young players in Nelson and Scare, both freshmen, and then you still have some people that didn't have that much playing time last year. You're still trying to blend those veterans in with the newcomers, and it takes time. And
you're in that kind of the transitional period. The conference season hasn't started yet. You've had a week off for finals, so really it's tough to get any momentum going at this point.
Well, I think any time, and you can see this time of the year there are a lot of upsets. A team that was ranked in the top 20 this week was beaten by Arizona State was beaten by University of Texas San Antonio. That's a big upset. Yep. But there were some other people that just barely ducked the bullet. Missouri, I think, beat Mercer by 1 point and had to rally to do that. Kansas went into Indiana, and Kansas got drilled in that ball game, and we all know they're a lot better than that. So when young men and young women go through final exams and then they have to come out and play basketball games, sometimes those things do strange things to your mind and your body. You physically, emotionally, mentally, you're drained. And I've said this before, sometimes our ball clubs have played well coming out of finals, sometimes they haven't. When we played the other night in Gallagher, Iowa, and beating Pan American, we didn't play very well. You said this show is being pre-recorded, and of course by the time people see this, we will have already played Arizona State and we will have played LSU. And then we're going to give our players a couple of days off and then come back Sunday night and practice, Sunday night, which is Christmas night. And then we go to Providence next week. So tough games right here. And then after the first year, we jump right into Big 8 play. So by the time we go to Manhattan on January the 9th and open the Big 8 conference, I hope this team is playing much more consistent basketball.
Well, we're going to take a look at highlights here in just a moment, but briefly, Randy Rutherford is shooting the ball. We've known all along how good a shooter he is, but for his three-point shots over the last few weeks have just been phenomenal.
He's been in a zone. He's been on fire. I don't know. There's probably a lot of different terms you could use, but I think the thing that has been most impressive to me about Randy, not only is his shooting, he's become a much better ball handler, much better passer. He's always played good, solid defense, but in the last two outings, he hasn't even had a turnover, and has had several assists. But as far as his three-point shooting, he's hit some remarkable shots. And right now he's averaging over 20 points. I think he moved in to a very elite group, the 1,000-point club, 18th in all-time scoring. And he's got a chance maybe to move into the top 10 in all-time scoring. One of the great guards to ever play for Oklahoma State.
Well, we've got some great highlights to show you from Randy Rutherford and the Cowboys as they took on Texas Pan American. We'll show you those highlights in a moment on the Eddie Sutton Show. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. And Coach, I've been wanting to ask you this for about 3 or 4 weeks. I saw you doing that commercial for Farm Fresh. What does acidophilus mean?
You know, Farm Fresh is one of the dear friends to Oklahoma State, and they've been so kind to sponsor my show since I returned to OSU. And I've had a lot of fun doing those commercials. The other night on the call-in radio show, Tom and I were doing it, and somebody called in and said, what is this acidophilus milk? Well, in layman's terms, it's just a milk that's easier to digest. It's less caustic, and as I've said before to you, I can't tell any difference. My oldest son Steve drinks that milk all the time because he does have a kind of a sensitive stomach. But I have consumed it. I can't tell any difference. But as long as it's farm fresh, I know it's good.
There you go. So if you have a question about milk, just call Coach Sutton. Let's go to the highlights. Texas Pan American and the Oklahoma State Cowboys at Gallagher Iba Arena. And again, after a week off for finals, tell you what, again, we're going to watch Randy Rutherford connect from outside throughout this thing, but what a game he had.
For the first 20 minutes, we played pretty well, Bill. You know, we up to about 5 minutes to halftime. I think we were only up 7 or 8 points, but then Randy went on a streak, and we go to the intermission 21 points up. But you got to give the other team credit. They're a very well-coached basketball team, and they hit some outstanding shots. There's a great pass from Keontae across court to Randy. When we come down on a break, we try to spot him up out on the perimeter and have someone break the defense down and penetrate, force a help situation, then kick the ball off. And there it is again. And we went outside, inside. There's Randy.
Boy, that's a pretty good shot.
He didn't miss too many shots in this ball game.
He had 30 points.
Well, he had 30 points, and I think he got them only on 13 shots, and that's really shooting. He was 9 out of 13, 6 out of 8 from three-point range, and 6 out of 8 at the line. That guy was on fire also.
That was Clay, and he had 29.
He had 10 out of 18, but they hit some great shots on us. Our defense really wasn't that bad. And I wasn't that upset at halftime. We only had 5 turnovers. We shot well over 50%. Had played pretty good defense, held them to 26 points. We take that every night. There's a good example of his range. That was an NBA three-point shot.
Well, you had a 17-0 run, I believe, at the end of the half to really give yourself a little margin.
And I believe he had 11 of those 17 points. Bryant got in foul trouble and ended up only playing 23 minutes and scored 16 points, had 9 rebounds. He's got to learn to play a little less aggressive when he picks up that second foul. That third and fourth one came pretty quickly. In fact, the fourth one came right after halftime, and he was on the bench over there next to me for most of the second half. There's Randy again hitting another 3.
He had 7 trays in that game.
He had 6.
6, I'm sorry.
He's had 7, I think, against the University of Oklahoma. One of these nights he's going to hit about 10 if he continues to play like he is. We set up a play.
Look at this one.
We call this IU, where it's a triple screen, and it's designed to get Randy a shot, and he hit it. That's just before halftime. And here he goes. Now watch this move. This is where I said he's improved. Look at that change of pace dribble there. And he goes in. And watch Jason Scare in the middle of the – look at that. Look at him. He's jumping up and down. I like that enthusiasm.
You know, some of the guys struggle from the free throw line. Well, here, let's talk about this. You had a reunion.
You know, I believe we brought back 50 former players. We invited a lot more than that, but that's a big turnout. These are guys that paid their dues here at Oklahoma State, all basketball players, played for Mr. Iba and the other coaches since. But I went over and spoke to them just before the game, and guys, it was good to see some of those people. And as I tell our players, those guys paved the way. They developed a great tradition of Oklahoma State basketball. So we were happy to come back and honor them, and they also honored the team in the 60s that won the Big 8 championship. You know, we've only won 2 in the last 40 years since we joined the Big 8. We won one the first year here, and then they won one in, I think it was 64 or 65. There's Randy Rutherford showing another type of shot that he's very good at, a little turnaround jump shot. We'll post up our guards.
It's a pretty quick move right there.
Very quick shot. He hit the basket, got the free throw. Nice play right there. Great pass by Scott Pierce off to John Nelson. We overloaded the zone, and they went. We took the ball to the baseline, flattened the zone out, and they hit John coming in to the basket.
I was going to say.
Now, here we got a little sloppy right here in the second half. That's a nice play by Andre. I think that's the only field goal he got. But we turned the ball over 13 times in the second half, and we gave up 46 points, and that's no good. And that's why I said we're very inconsistent. This is late. Bryant Reeves makes a couple of blocks there late in the game, and we end up winning the ball game 82-72, but it wasn't very pretty. I think Barry Trammell, who writes for the Daily Oklahoman, he said, I don't know whether he said it was ugly or I'm not sure what he described, but I agreed with it.
You know, some of the guys struggled on the free throw line, but you look at Jason Scare, he hit 9 out of 12. All 9 of his points in that game came from the free throw line. So there's a freshman who's stepping up and doing some good things.
Keontae Roberts is having more problems at the free throw line than anyone. I think he's shooting probably it's the worst in the Big 45%. Yeah. And he's a lot better shooter than that. But I'll tell you one thing we have done. We have been shooting a lot more free throws. In this game, we shot 72%. And we missed the last 6. I think at that point we were like 39 out of 30 or 29 out of 34. And Keontae missed 4 right down the stretch. Jason missed 2 free throws. But the team is shooting better because we're having more time to shoot free throws. Like we've been trying to shoot 50 free throws every day. And if you do that, we tell our players, put yourself in game conditions. Get up there, pretend like this is the one that's going to beat the University of Kansas or it's going to beat Providence. And if you do that every day and you get a routine, you're going to be able to hit free throws. I tell everybody, hey, that basket's 10 feet high. You're 15 feet away. You got 10 seconds to shoot it. Nobody's covering you. So every man in college ought to be able to hit at least 70%.
82-72, Cowboys won that one. When we come back, there's a new member of the Cowboy family. We'll visit with him when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. You know, last week here at Oklahoma State was a big one. Bob Simmons, the new head football coach, was hired. In our off-the-court feature this week, Tom Dirato visits with the Cowboys' new football coach.
Well, thanks, Bill. And indeed, with us on Off the Court this week is the new head football coach at Oklahoma State, Bob Simmons. Bob, again, welcome to the Oklahoma State family. And has it sunk in yet? You've had a hectic week, I'm sure.
You know, I'm walking around pinching myself, and I think it's been a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to be a head coach, and this is a great place to coach at. You know, Pat Jones and some guys that have been here in the past have had a great tradition. And so I just welcome the opportunity to come in here and be the guy that's responsible for trying to turn this program around and go in the right direction.
Being number 20 here at Oklahoma State, if you can be as successful as another guy who was number 20, I think you'll like it, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I talked with Bill McCartney before I left here, and he had some form of a memo in his hand, a release, and he says, 20th head coach. He says, I was the 20th. And if I can, I want to be half the man that Bill McCartney is because of what he stands for and the foundations that he put in that program. And I've learned a lot from him, and being the 20th head coach here is an honor for me, and I just look forward to working with the people in the community, academic community, as well as the students here, and making sure that the OSU program does things in the right way.
Over and above X's and O's, touchdowns, wins and losses, family is very important to you.
Family is definitely important for me. I said at my press conference that I'm a family man, and I think in order to be successful, the principles of family really apply. The foundations of trusting one another and being close and being able to depend on one another. And so when I had a team meeting, that was the emphasis with the team, is that we got to be a family in this whole building process. You got to understand that you got to trust in what I'm telling you, but more importantly, you got to trust in what your teammates are telling you. You got to look that guy in the eye and know that when you're on the football field, no matter what happens, that he's going to take care of his responsibility. And the other really important thing that I told the team is that you're here to be successful in the classroom, and me and the players had dialogue about that.
Academics, also very important to you, and you have some academic in your background, so to speak.
You know, one of the things that I was able to do before I even got into coaching, I was the academic advisor for student athletes. So, you know, I really know the value of an education and really what it means when you talk about the student athlete concept. And I've always been able to sell that concept to parents and to students that, you know, you come to school to have a complete experience, but the number one priority is that when you invest 4 years in a university, you want to walk away with a degree. And part of my responsibility here is that I'd love to have 100% graduation rate here, and I know how to do that. The academic advisor here, Steve Uris, is a heck of a guy. He's got a lot of ideas. The first building that I want to put forth and that he's a big part of is a big academic support building, which is going to be a glorious building here in the next couple of years. And so we want to be known as a university that graduate their student athletes here and kids that come here and have a total experience.
I'd like to go back to the family aspect again. Tell us about your immediate family.
Well, you know, one of the things that I'm proud of is naturally my wife. She is the foundation of my life. She's a great lady. Anytime you're a football coach, you spend a lot of time away from home, and she has the responsibilities of raising the kids, and she's done an absolutely super job. My two sons, one, Brandon Simmons, is at Bowling Green State University on an academic scholarship. He's a sharp young man. My other son, Nathan Simmons, who is at Boulder High School and was on Super Prep, cover of Super Prep magazine, and he's been in face is in the crowd in Sports Illustrated. He's got a strong faith in God. He's got a 3.8 grade point average, and we're very proud of him. And then I have a lovely daughter who's also the pride of my life. Her name is Lilana, and she's 11 years old. She's in the 6th grade, and you know, our family is very, very close, and we have a very faithful family, and a lot has to do with what my wife has done. You know, I've been gone half the time.
We know how that is in athletics, believe me. Being named at this stage of the recruiting season, does it hurt the efforts for any school?
Yes, it does, because it not only gives you 3 weeks in January to recruit, but you know, I've been doing some things earlier by just making some phone calls and let kids know that I'm a new head football coach here at OSU. And you know, what I want to do really is start Monday. I want to get in the state of Oklahoma and make sure that the kids know that they're going to have a great opportunity here if they come to OSU to be a part of a family, but more importantly, be a part of a program with a team that's moving in the right direction. As I say, our theme is that we're going to be a team on the rise. We're going to be a team that's committed towards you getting your degree and you getting your education.
What message would you have for the many Oklahoma State fans and alumni that are watching this show? If you could give them one message, what would it be?
Well, let me just say this. OSU has been a school that has had 41 national championships. Now, that is the 4th best in the country. This school has a lot of tradition to it. The school has a commitment to being academically excellence. And my message to them is that this is one of the prominent schools in the nation. We have a mission ahead of us. It's going to take an effort of all the players in this state, and I want all the players in this state to be a part of our success.
Welcome to the OSU family. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Bill, he's a quality guy. You know, I had an opportunity to visit with Coach Simmons when he interviewed, and we didn't talk about football because I don't know that much about it, but we talked about the type of young men that he would recruit to Oklahoma State, how he believed that student athletes should be treated, and it parallels a lot of things that we try to teach in our basketball program. And I'm just thrilled, and I think all of the people that have had an opportunity to meet Coach Simmons are thrilled that he's our football coach, and I think that football will be on the rise, and I just can't wait to help him in any way I can.
He's a very impressive man when you meet him. And coming up on the Eddie Sutton Show, we've had a couple of unusual plays already this year, and when we come back, we'll take a look at those and talk more Oklahoma State basketball. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. You know, Coach, every year there's some strange plays that fans have questions about. One of those happened early in the season in the Great Alaskan Shootout against Arizona.
There are some strange plays in basketball. Now, here's the opening tip between the University of Arizona and ourselves, and you can see the ball right there. It wasn't a good toss, and I guess that's one reason why the Rules Committee a few years ago did away with the jump ball situation every time. But what happened, the ball came up, they tipped it, it came down, Brian got possession, and they ruled that it was Arizona's ball, which is the way it should be. Then we come out to begin the second half, it should be our ball because there had never been a jump ball in the first 20-minute period. So alternating possessions, it should have been ours. But the official came over, and I said, no, this isn't right. And he said, no. And the way he interpreted it was they should have the ball again. Well, I called John Erickson, who is the supervisor of officials for the Big 8, when I got back, and he said, no, the official made a mistake. So officials do make mistakes. Coaches make a lot of them, but they make mistakes from time to time. So we really got shortchanged in that particular game.
Well, there was another strange incident. This was at Gallagher-Iba against Southern Methodist.
Well, like I said, coaches make a lot of mistakes, and this is one of them. I thought I knew the rules because I'd been on the Rules Committee for 5 years, but they've changed this rule since then. You can see I'm discussing this with Stanley Reynolds and another official. And what happened, there was a jump ball called. They tied Bryant up, and I'd gone over to the officials, and I told the officials, I said, come over and explain to our stat crew the rule on this. And I was, nice about it. Well, then when I found out I was wrong, I turned around to our stat crew and I said, I apologize. But what happened there, they're giving a premium to the defensive team. In other words, if the defensive team forces a jump ball situation, you don't get a new set on the clock, the 35-second clock. If it goes the other way, then they do get a reset because there's a change of possession. Well, it used to be that if there's a jump ball, they reset the clock. Made no difference whether it was the offensive team or the defensive team. So I made a mistake.
And apologize to the stat crew and the officials. You've got basketball camp that it's a long way away, but it's time to be thinking about what's ahead for the for young people who are interested.
Well, we do have a basketball camp, and it might be for someone who hadn't got a Christmas present for their young son or grandson. It might be a way of giving them an opportunity to come to our basketball camp next summer. I have been in the camp business since 1959 when I coached at Tulsa Central, so I've had a lot of campers through the years, and that's one of the fun times for me because there's no pressure as far as winning, and you get a chance to work with young men, and we have a camp here. In fact, 2 weeks of camp in the summertime, so if someone's interested, we can send them a brochure, and I'll invite all the young people that might be watching to come out to our camp. You'll learn some basketball and you'll have a lot of fun. We have all of our players working the camp. Big Country and Brooks comes back, and Corey Williams is going to come back and go to school, and he'll be working. So a lot of our former players, and they'll have a marvelous experience.
You talked about Christmas. What are the holidays like for the staff and the basketball team?
You know, Christmas and basketball don't really mix, but the one thing I've always tried to do is to get our young people home for at least a couple of days during the Christmas time. I think it's a time where they need to be with their families, and sometimes it hurts you a little bit when you first come back, but I think in the long run it helps you, and the guys come back with their batteries recharged. We're letting them off for a couple of days. They'll come back Christmas night. We'll practice that evening, and then on Monday, and then we get ready to go to Providence.
And speaking of Providence, we have just a moment to tell you about that game. You can see that game on Channel 9 and on Channel 6 where you're seeing the Eddie Sutton Show, and obviously that's a big one.
Merry Christmas to everyone out there watching.
Okay, for Coach Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. Hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. We'll see you next week on the Eddie Sutton Show.